Hello everyone, this is Kirya Does Things. I'm Kirya, and today we're going to talk about the Japanese Grand Prix and talk about each driver's performance individually, and I will try to grade them as fairly as possible. It was in general an interesting race. Obviously, no fight for the race win. However, a lot of things were happening, mainly with strategy, a lot of overtakes because people were doing different strategies, were on different tires, fresher tires, more worn tires, and soft or hard or mediums, on all of that good stuff. And also some moves outside of the DRS zones, like in the first turns in the S's, which were pretty cool. So, of course, let's start with Alex Albon, who didn't really have an opportunity to race because he crashed with Danny Rick in the first lap, and it was not his fault. If I have to give some blame to someone for this crash, it would be to Ricciardo, but I agree with the officials that it was a racing incident in mainly, so no penalties were given to anyone. However, Albon was 100% I think not at fault, and so I can pretty much grade him on his qualifying. It wasn't anything spectacular, it was just okay, an okay quali. And I can't give him big grades just because he's out qualifying Logan Sargent at this point. His teammate is not doing well, he hasn't proven himself, so just a basic 5 out of 10 for Alex's qualifying pretty much. Next, Fernando Alonso. He did very well. He continues to perform even though he's 42, which is insane. He had a very strong race. Similar to Albon, his teammate is not doing very well, so we can't really be sure and compare him to someone that is close to him. But however, he had a very very strong 5th place in quali and a 6th place in the race. Managed to beat a lot of cars that probably shouldn't. So he gets an 8 out of 10. He even got that DRS train going with Piastri, who was stuck behind him, and then Russell, who caught them too. And then he gave the DRS to Piastri on purpose in order for him to stay ahead of Russell and retain his position. So he did very well. He used some good tricks, and in general very good pace for him, but we of course are not really sure where Aston Martin ranks because of Stroll. We will talk about him later, but I gave Alonso an 8 out of 10, a very strong drive. Next, we have Valtteri Bottas, who again qualified okay, respectable P13, way ahead of his teammate, and in the race he was there. Fortunately, no 1 minute pit stops from Sauber. However, when at some point in the race, 5 cars, one of them was Bottas, they all pitted at the same lap. They were very very close, all of them, and a 2-second pit stop compared to a 3 or a 4-second pit stop could make a big difference, and it did for some drivers. And of course, Bottas was the one that got the bad pit stop around 4 seconds, I think. Anyway, I don't think they had the pace to fight for a point, but he could have been a little bit closer. He still did okay, he still did good. He managed to out-qualify again and pretty easily his teammate. Maybe 7, but I ended up giving him a 6 out of 10. I hope he scores a point or two soon, because I kind of like Valtteri. I think he's a pretty cool dude. Anyway, he gets a 6 out of 10. Next we have Pierre Gasly, the first Alpine. Oh boy, their race pace was absolutely horrific. It was terrible. I think they both had some damage from their contact. They had contact at the second restart. I think the Alpines they touched at some point, and that obviously was not helpful. But I don't think it really mattered in the grand scheme of things. So he got out qualified by Ocon again. He's losing 4-0. This time it was around 3/10. His race was he had two good starts. In both starts he did well, but he had the contact with Ocon and then no pace whatsoever. So I think because of his good starts, I gave him a 5 out of 10. I think Ocon and Gasly are two pretty good midfield drivers. Maybe not, probably not close to championship contention as drivers, but still they are pretty good, and they even have some good experience at this point. The Alpine car is just really bad, so I can't continue to give them terrible grades just because the car is very bad. And Gasly at least is not qualifying 19th or 20th like he did at the start of the season. He got at least 17th and tried his best with some good starts, so I gave him a 5. Next we have Lewis Hamilton, who had a decent enough qualifying, nothing crazy, but at least had qualified Russell finally, and then picked some damage. I'm not sure what level of damage he picked up with. I think it was Leclerc, some very small touch, but Mercedes in general is not doing very well. Considering that, and he did that qualify Russell, but his race was not great even if he had some damage. So in the end he ended up right behind the others, Russell, Alonso, Russell, Piastri. He was close in the end, so he wasn't miles off. So I gave him a 6 out of 10. Next we have Nico Hülkenberg, who had a pretty quiet, decent race, qualified a respectable P12 and finished almost in the points behind Yuki in P11. Pretty good, pretty decent, nothing spectacular, but he did his job well and was there to capitalize if something would have happened to the guys up front. So he managed to beat everyone else except Yuki, who is performing very, very well. Next we have Leclerc. Really bad qualifying, especially considering his standards. He usually is extremely good in quali, of course, so many pole positions, and being P8 in a Ferrari that is the second fastest car, 4 positions behind Sainz, it's not that great. However, a very good strategy, a one-stop that Ferrari did, and he executed it very well because he had a strong pace even though he was using some worn tires at some points in the race. He managed to have good pace, and that's why the one-stop worked. It wasn't really because overtaking was that hard. It wasn't really that hard at this race, which was pretty interesting and quite fun. We were expecting overtaking to be harder. So it wasn't that. He didn't really create trains. He just had pretty solid race pace even though he did a one-stop. So that's why he managed to jump almost everyone. Almost got a podium but didn't in the end. A very, very good drive on Sunday, but his qualifying let him down, so I gave him a 7 out of 10. Next, we have Kevin Magnussen, who had a bad qualifying. Haas is probably with RB, the two cars after the top 5. I think it goes Red Bull is first, clearly. Ferrari is second, clearly. McLaren is third, pretty much clearly. Then it's Aston and Mercedes fighting for fourth and fifth. And then it's Haas and RB fighting for 6th and 7th. Maybe RB has a slight edge. And then it's the other 3 teams. So my point is that P18 quali is not good. It's not good enough. He recovered decently in the race, but nothing very, very good. He was still somewhat behind from his teammate, and in general didn't look amazing. So I gave him a 4 out of 10, mainly because of his bad qualifying in a not so bad car. Next, we have Norris, who did exceptionally well to qualify P3, didn't manage to convert it to a podium. I'm not really sure about the strategy. They did a 2-stop but pitted extremely early, so they undercut some people. They even undercut Perez, but it was I don't think he would have been in any other position, even if the strategy was better, but still not a good strategy. The race pace was not good enough to fight with the Ferraris. Maybe a little bit disappointing though that he didn't manage to beat Leclerc, who started 8th. Norris started 5 places in front and still finished behind. However, he still did pretty well and beat his teammate quite easily. So I gave him a 7 out of 10. Next we have Esteban. I talked about Alpine before. They are nowhere. He managed to get into Q2 again, which is pretty good. And in the race again, maybe he had a little bit of damage, but even if that wasn't the case, Alpine has no pace whatsoever. He beat his teammate again, 4-0 in quali and Q2 appearance. These things are good enough to give him a 6, I think. So a 6 out of 10 for Ocon. Nothing more to say about the Alpines. Let's move on. Next we have Checo. Again, qualified second. However, this time, actually, I think it's the first time in this year that he qualified second. But other than that, it's not only that he qualified second. He almost got pole. He was very, very, very close to Verstappen, which is obviously pretty remarkable. And then in the race, comfortable P2 to be expected from the Red Bull, but he still did it, and he was not completely destroyed by Verstappen. Obviously he didn't challenge, but almost getting pole and then getting an easy P2 is, I think, good enough to give him an 8. Maybe I have been a little bit harsh on Checo on the first 2 races, so I think this performance deserves to get an 8, which is the highest grade I have given him in this season. I don't think he's doing amazingly right now, but he's doing good enough for a second driver. Let's just say that, for the job that Red Bull wants Perez to do, he's doing exactly that. That's what they need him to do. So he gets an 8, a pretty good drive for Perez. Next we have Oscar Piastri, as I said before, for Lando. Piastri and McLaren wasn't performing at the highest level, and Piastri was easily beaten in both quali and the race from his teammate. Finished nearly 20 seconds behind. That's not good enough. I know Norris is a very strong driver, and Piastri is in his second season now, not a rookie. However, he still has a lot to learn. He has a lot of pace, but it's obvious that he's still lacking a little bit compared to Lando in some races. So I'm not impressed by this specific drive and this specific in this race from Piastri. He could have done better. He was again stuck behind cars. He's very careful. He is trying to do the best he can, and he never crashes. He never causes trouble, which is good. But he doesn't seem to risk to get an overtake done, and that some people can take a calculated risk and get ahead, and then that might change completely the race. Piastri doesn't tend to do that. He just stays behind patiently, which sometimes is good, sometimes not that good, because he ruins a little bit his race. So obviously 8th is not terrible, but McLaren is the third fastest team this season, and in this race he didn't maximize, so I gave him a 5. Next we have Ricciardo, who, as I said before, okay, it is a racing incident. It was hard for Ricciardo to know that Albon was there, but that's why they have mirrors, I guess. He caused him and Albon to DNF, even though it's a racing incident in the first lap, and I understand all that, and his qualifying wasn't that terrible. The thing is, he still insta DNF'd, and doesn't really matter that the qualifying was good. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh, but I don't know, like, it's a DNF that he caused, even though it's not like he shouldn't get extreme amounts of blame. It's still a DNF that he caused, so he gets a 2 out of 10, and I hope he bounces back soon. Next we have George Russell, who got beaten in quali from Hamilton, but managed to get a P7, almost a P6 from he finished behind Alonso, and he managed to overtake Piastri. That's the thing, like I was talking before about Piastri, that he is not tenacious. He doesn't go for risky moves. George does, and maybe sometimes he crashes, which obviously is bad, but when it works, it's really important to do that and manage to get an overtake or two when needed. So he managed to get past Piastri, which I don't think should have been the case, considering that McLaren is a faster car right now. So he did well enough to get a 7 out of 10 from me. Next we have Carlos Sainz, who qualified 4th, which is okay in a Ferrari. Nothing amazing though, but nothing bad about where they should be, and then had a very strong race pace to finish in the podium quite easily in the end. Very, very good drive from Carlos again on the podium again. We are in the round number 4 right now. He didn't compete, of course, in Saudi because of his surgery, but the other 3 races that he has competed, he has been on the podium in all of them. So that's pretty impressive. Again, being best of the rest is very, very impressive. And he wasn't a mile away from Checo either. A very strong drive again from Carlos, and he has been decent in quali as well. That was something that used to be maybe not his strength. Why is my cat crying? Hello, cat. Anyway, next we have Logan Sargent. What more can I say? Terrible qualifying again. Okay, obviously Williams is one of the worst cars, but why does he have to be the one that is all the time 20th and 19th? Like, I understand that sometimes he will be, but he is always there. And in the race, he managed to finish behind the Alpines, because he just didn't turn in one corner, went straight ahead, managed to reverse it and continue, but it doesn't matter that he continued, it doesn't matter at all. It's almost like he crashed. The only good thing is no damage, of course, but he is not, as I have said before, he should be replaced. Obviously, he's not good enough for F1 and he will continue to do terribly, and I'm pretty sure he's going to have the lowest average by far, probably, at the end of the season. So he gets 1 out of 10, just, I don't know, like a participation point. The only, I guess, good thing that happened was that he was battling with some cars, like in the first half of the race. Other than that, as I said, he is qualifying terribly, and this time around he didn't crash, but he just went straight ahead in a corner, and then his race was completely ruined. So a 1 out of 10 for Sargent. Next, Lance Stroll, another disappointing one. You can't be 16th when your teammate is 5th. Like, that's it. Pretty much that's the whole thing that I have to say about Stroll. You can't do that. You are driving either the 4th or the 5th fastest car, and you are nowhere to be found. Your teammate scores 8 points and you score 0 because you can't qualify. And that's it, pretty much. A lot of good moves in the race, but doesn't matter. Does it? Why should it matter that he made a comeback to P12? Even if he made a comeback to P10, okay, he would get something like, I don't know, like a 5 or a 4, probably a 4 or something. But he didn't even get points. He finished something like, I don't know, maybe even a minute behind Alonso, like 40 seconds or something. He was nowhere, he was a lap behind. He finished behind Hülkenberg, behind Tsunoda. Terrible, really, really terrible. At least he didn't crash, or I don't know. He managed to beat some cars, but obviously his car is way better than Sargent's car. So he gets like a 2 out of 10. Let's move on. Next we have Yuki, who is performing amazingly this season. Like, I'm really impressed from Tsunoda. Obviously we knew he has good speed and the talent from the moment he stepped up to Formula 1. He was quite young then, he was like 19th or something, 20. Always have been he always had good potential, and he's showing it last season and mainly now this season again. He seems to be the number 1 driver easily in this team, and obviously only driver to go to Q3 that is not from the top teams, and again only driver and car to get points that is not from the top teams. Very, very strong drive again. Obviously I do think that RB is around the 6th or 7th, probably 6th fastest car, but still he has to beat all of the others and he can't really compete with the actual good cars. So it's like a win for them and for him. So he gets an 8 out of 10 for doing such a good job. Next we have Verstappen. Obviously got pole. It was close between him and Perez, but he did still manage to get it, and then won very, very easily. Got fastest lap. Didn't lead every lap, but okay. It was mainly because of strategy. and ended up winning by 12 or more seconds, about 12 I think. A very easy win, pole, win, fastest lap, everything. He gets a 10 out of 10. What else can I give him? Like, I don't know. He's dominant. That's it. Next and last one is Zhou. He DNF'd because of a gearbox problem, not his fault. However, why again is he 20th? Why is he getting destroyed by Bottas? Why is he doing so badly in qualifying? What is the reason? Again, Sauber is one of the three worst cars. Sauber, Williams, and then it's Alpine. He should beat Sargent, he should beat the Alpines, Magnussen that had a bad qualifying. Like, at least sometimes he can't, like, I can't excuse him. Okay, maybe he gets P20 like once or twice in a season, maybe 3 times, but he is consistently out in Q1. He was nowhere close Bottas this time around. He's not doing well. He's just, I don't think he's really very fast. He reminds me of Giovinazzi, who also in the same car, it used to be Alfa Romeo. He had like 1 or 2 good performances in like 3 years, and the rest of it was just terrible. He's an okay driver, but he's not one of the like 20 best drivers in the world. There are other reasons that he is still in this car, and maybe probably will continue to be. I hope they get Purser instead of Zhou for next season, or maybe someone else, but Zhou is not performing, and this is his 3rd season. This is not good enough at all. Obviously, I'm not giving him a bad grade because of his DNF. That has nothing to do with it, but because of his absolutely terrible qualifying yet again. So that's it for today. I hope you liked the video. I hope you are still here with me, and if you liked the video, you should actually like the video on YouTube and subscribe. Next video is going to be about the F1 Fantasy, where I did very well, and we are rising in the ranks, and I'm excited to talk about it when the time arrives. For now though, that was it, and we will talk about more F1 in the next one. Until then, bye, have a great night.